If you've been with us this morning, you've seen our Gio Signaras and entertainment commentator Stephen Kent talk about the handful of movies that could win the big award, but they both seem to be rooting for the same film. Here are their thoughts on it.
It feels like Parasite, if we're going to have that big wow moment, it's going to come from this. It's going to come from the Korean language film that has been making waves since it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Yeah, and this has never happened before.
Right.
A foreign language film has never won Best Film. In fact, they just really flop across most categories besides Best International Film when it comes to the Academy Awards. Because the Academy, we've talked about their voting base, is dedicated at its core and its founding mission to highlight movies coming from our continent, from the United States. It is a change in the way that their voting body is comprised and their mission to think internationally and really look at movies around the world. And this is a mission they set out a couple years ago to do. But it's going to take many, many years for that to mature. A foreign language film is eventually going to win. It's just a matter of timing and it being the perfect movie at the perfect time with the perfect subject. And I happen to think that Parasite has the components to do it.
So what do you think that means then? Because I feel like in terms of the diversity conversation with regards to the Academy, 2 years ago it felt like there was a breakthrough with Moonlight winning Best Picture. And then it felt a bit regressive to some when Green Book won Best Picture. Now there's this moment where a film like Parasite would not only be the first foreign language film to ever win Best Picture at the Academy, but sort of explode the zeitgeist at this. What does that mean, or what could it mean for film culture and even culture as a whole, because this would open up the story to so many people that otherwise wouldn't have seen it?
Well, to start with your first point about Moonlight and then going to Green Book. Everybody wants the Oscars to be what they want it to be. Conservatives have always wanted Hollywood to be for them. They think it's, it's full of hackery and liberals, and they just don't like the Oscars and the Academy Awards because it's not about the movies that they cherish. The far left and people who are in that part of the community as well, they want things to be for them as well. They got their big milestone with Moonlight. That was a huge, triumphant success for a new kind of movie to take home Best Picture. And then there was another great movie the next year called Green Book, and it wasn't the same kind of thing. So, the point being, like, the pendulum is just kind of always swinging, and the definition of a best movie changes every year. What's going on with Parasite is that it is a movie that I think more powerfully speaks to the times that we're living in than any of the other contenders, Joker included. It is about the haves versus the have-nots, wrapped up in a foreign language film, a comedy, a horror, a drama, a family masterpiece of a movie that touches on class and resentment and just like low-key anger that I think people are feeling all across the world right now when it comes to the subject of income inequality, that no other movie has done. It is beautiful. It is well acted. It took home the SAG Awards for Best Ensemble Cast,
first time that ever
which
happened.
none of the other best films have. Its cast blew people away, and its direction. This movie deserves it, but history would say that this movie can't clinch it.
I tend to agree with you on that one, and to speak one more point to the impact that it's having, I was telling you off camera that my 19-year-old brother, of all people, saw the movie the first time, thought it was fantastic. Recently texted me and asked, where can I watch this again? I want to try and show it to my college roommates. I want to try and get them to see it. The only hiccup is that they're struggling at the moment to get over the subtitle aspect of it. So it's like it's right there. There is a moment to capture, and it feels like Parasite is just right at the door. It's just a matter if it can break through.
Yeah, the director Bong Joon said at one of the early awards this season, I think it was the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it was the Golden Globes.
If you can get past the 1-inch subtitle bar at the end of your screen, a whole new world will open up to you. And it is just a matter of time before this does break through at the Academy Awards. Is this the year? I don't know, but Parasite deserves it.
So if you had to put your money on, it's nominated for six Oscars, but if you had to pick on what you think it wins, do you think it goes all the way and gets Best Picture?
Do I think it wins, or do I think it should win? Like, that is the eternal question. I think Parasite wins. I'm going to roll the dice on it because, this has just been the series of years of just sort of populist revolt all across the world. People winning things that you never thought they could win. People rallying behind things that you never thought they would and throwing out establishment candidates. 1917 is just such a blasé pick for Best Picture and so typical. I think that this would be the year that Parasite could change everything.
All right, so it seems like they're pretty big fans of Parasite. I haven't seen the film just yet, but I'm telling you, I'm going to rush home and try to watch it because now, I'm interested.
I am as well, and I know they were saying things about subtitles could sometimes put some people off. I like to see that because it forces me to like read, and you get more vested into the movie when you actually have to read.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to watch 10 movies
attention.
like that,
right?
But, I like it, and I just like also looking at different cultures and seeing how they're looking. I feel like I'm learning something, and I love to be able to learn something at my leisure. So
yeah, and the reviews have looked and sounded good. I'm also looking out for Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, he's gotten a lot of praise over his portrayal of the Joker. So really looking to see what happens with him tonight.
A peculiar role to fill, that Joker.
Yeah.
Lots of big shoes to fill when it comes to that. I think it takes a certain level of sinister to pull that off. And he, I'm sure, does a really good job. I haven't seen it yet, but he's just walking like he's got some swag.